right,
No, we
guys.
got it. We got it.
Welcome back to our F1 videos. We've missed it. This will be our first recap in a hot minute, so we're excited.
But we also now have weeks until our next one.
Insert picture of, what is it, George Russell, like the 3 versions of him crying.
Yeah.
So
we don't have anything out of the ordinary. It was a sprint weekend, so we will be talking about sprint qualifying and the sprint. We do have our last season flashbacks, and then we'll go into the recap for the Grand Prix and qualifying, as well as our leaderboard from our podium predictions. We also have some news from this past weekend, week, whatever, same thing. So we'll talk about that as well. But before we get too far into the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications. You will be getting this video in addition to a Champions League video this week, and you will be getting some videos next week as well. Just don't know which ones. Yeah. So we'll go to last season's flashback.
alright, guys, so the first last season flashback we have is Cadillac event at the race. Not hype whatsoever. Mick Schumacher and his manager were at the Cadillac event.
Well, that didn't work out.
No, but it definitely, like, looking back and being like, oh, Cadillac, I still have the same mindset I did before they even started racing, and I knew this year was not going to be their year, just because they're just so...
It's still like a, who are they?
Who are they? Yeah,
Even
I forget
like with
that...
the Super Bowl ad, like, it just...
That Super Bowl ad was so lame. Like, it showed it, and I was like...
Yeah.
I'm like, we had so many options. I feel like AI would have done better, you know? And I don't usually say that. But moving on, Yuki did a lot of press before the race, videos of him and Jason the Ween, plus QC. Sorry, I was having like a stroke or something. I don't know. And then a video of him trying foods with Justin Jefferson. I miss Yuki.
That one was a
really
good video.
It was. It was a really good video.
But speaking of which, Justin Jefferson, of course we have to mention him teaching Oscar how to griddy, and then Oscar absolutely failing at griddy. Because he won the race, and he bet that if he won, he would do the celebration. And anyway, secondhand embarrassment from that. Then we also had Lando rumors of leaving McLaren at the end of the season, potentially to go to Mercedes. That's wild. I forgot about this. But I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he was able to win the Drivers' Championship this past season.
I can't wait until we get to the flashbacks from last year towards the end of the season, where we were just both oh my god, what's gonna happen?
We're gonna have PTSD.
Yeah. But moving on from that, we now have the Miami Grand Prix recap. I'll be recapping the sprint, and we'll be recapping the main race. So sprint qualifying, Q1, Stroll, Alonso, Bottas, Perez, Ocon, and Lawson were the first 5 out. Stroll didn't even set a lap time. No, first 6, sorry. I'm so sorry. I forget we have more drivers now. Anyway, and then in Q2, we had Albon, Lindblad, Sainz, Behrman, Hulkenberg, and Bortoleto. And Albon and SQ1 lap time deleted for track limits, so SQ2 lap time subsequently deleted. Yeah, so he was out in Q2. And then we have Q3, Gasly, Hadjar, Colapinto, Hamilton, Russell, Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, Antonelli, and Norris. The top 3 being Norris, Antonelli, and Piastri. And this was such a nice, refreshing thing to see after...
Well, for you, I bet.
Yeah, for me personally. But I was like, oh, so I have some hopes for the race. Because you guys know, I was a little nervous. Because even though we can breed upgrades, were they really that great? They were pretty good, actually. I'll take it. But now to the sprint recap. So Kimi Antonelli again had a bad start, 2nd to 4th. We see this is kind of like a repetitive thing for him. He gets in the first and then the race starts, he gets dropped back, but then he usually makes it up. But I think this will be something that all the teams will be noticing when he is up on the front, so I feel like that would be a great strategy for people to work with around him. But besides that, lap 7, George Russell passes Kimi Antonelli. Lap 8, Kimi Antonelli passes George Russell, and Max Verstappen forces Lewis Hamilton off and passes outside of white lines. By turn 18, Red Bull's radio Max to give the position back. And then lap 9, turn 17, Max Verstappen overtakes Lewis Hamilton. And then lap 17, Isaac Hadjar overtakes Calapinto early in the lap. And then basically
Nothing
results. Nothing else happening. But the results are Norris in first, Piastri in second, and Leclerc in third. In fourth to eighth, we had George Russell's, Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli, Lewis Hamilton, and then Pierre Gasly.
Oh, my thing just froze that entire time.
Okay, it's saying it's trying to connect. I have stable internet. What do you mean? Am I still frozen?
From both of us. I think we're both actually having problems.
No.
Okay, you got really clear for a second and then you stopped.
Do we need to stop it and then start it again? How far did I get?
I don't know. Okay, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, I got a FaceTime. Hold on. No, really? I'm not gonna lie, I can barely see it on the phone right now. You're really blurry.
Okay. Guys, I'm pretty sure M's gonna put somewhere in this area what just happened. But now to the results from sprint race. The podium was Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Charles Leclerc. From 4th to 8th, we had George Russell's, Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli, Lewis Hamilton, and Pierre Gasly. And then 9th to 15th, we had Isaac Hadjar, Franco Colapinto. Whose name starts with an E? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, SD Bestie. Esteban Ocon. Can you see me? Are we great? Are we okay?
Oh no!
God has tested me today.
Again! Please work. Please work.
Okay, this is the 3rd time that we're filming this again, and now I'm filming from my phone, so if this angle is weird, I'm sorry. Ollie Behrman, Carlos Sainz, Liam Lawson, and Fernando Alonso. And then 16th through we had Checo Perez. Oh, Lance Stroll. And then we have Alex Albon. Really? I didn't realize he was that far down. Anyways, and then we have the DNS. We had Hulkenberg, engine issues, Lindblad, and DSQ. A disqualification for Bortoletto, technical non-conformity, whatever. And then Kimi Antonelli, the reason he was so far down is because he had a 5-second penalty for track limits, so it cost him 2 spots. But moving on.
Yeah, now we have qualifying for the actual race. So out in Q1, we had Gabriel Bortoleto, Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, and Arvid Lindblad. In Q2, we had Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Oliver Behrman, Liam Lawson, and Nico Hulkenberg. And then Q3, 10th, starting P10, was Pierre Gasly, Isaac Hadjar in P9, Franco Colapinto in P8. This is the first time that he's out-qualified Pierre this year. Oscar Piastri in P7, Lewis Hamilton in P6, George Russell in P5, Lando Norris in P4, Charles Leclerc in P3, Max Verstappen P2, and Kimi Antonelli on pole. Not surprised after how, he did last year where he took sprint pole. So, the race, it turns out we thought we were all set, we were all good, we were cooking. Well, turns out Isaac Hadjar got eliminated from qualifying because they found that his floor was outside of regulations, so he got disqualified and he had to do a pit lane start. But the start of the race, so Lando got an amazing launch off the line, but actually, Alex Albon had the best start to anyone for this race. But on the inside, because Max lined up ahead of Lando got a better launch, and Max almost drove him into the wall. And that's how it was down into turn 1. But
what happened?
Yeah. So there were 2 lockups from the front 3. So I think Max locked up and Charles locked up. And so, nope, I'm going to take that back. I actually don't remember what happened, but I can tell you Lando got a great start, and then going into like turn 3 or 4, Max spun because he got pinched from both sides. I think it was Lewis and Franco, and he drove pretty much both of them off the track, per usual. But then we have Ferrari leading with Charles Leclerc in first, and then Kimi in second, Lando in third, Oscar in fourth, and George in fifth. So Franco and Lewis then had contact in turn 11. This was noted in lap 3, and there was no further investigation. So then go into turn 18. Lewis was ahead of Franco and was able to hold him off. And then we had Alex Albon versus Max Verstappen into turn 18 as well. And, well, that was a whole thing. But somehow Alex was able to hold on and fend off Max. Lap 3, George overtakes Oscar for fourth. Lap 4, Kimi gets closer to Charles, and then further on in the lap, so turn 18, Kimi is able to pass him. Lap 5, the top 3 is Kimi, Charles, and Lando, and the gap to P4 is 1.7, and the top 3 were all within 1 second of each other, so they got the overtake. And then turn 11 of lap 5, Charles was able to pass Kimi, and then we had Isaac into the wall, and that was between turns 14 and 16, which is the underpass where you have the quick little shoo-shoo, and where Max took the Ballard out last year, so that's why this happened. And so he broke his suspension, so he couldn't drive the car, and then lap 6, right before the safety car got called, Lando was able to pass Kimi. He gets first place, and then we have Pierre into the barrier. And this was at turn 17. He ended up his car even ended up flipping. That was from contact from Liam Lawson, because Liam Lawson's car went into anti-stall, and he just lost it and was unable to turn, and that was just really unfortunate. So yeah, then we got our safety car. So Max was the only one from the entire field to pit under the safety car and do the one-stop strategy, and he pitted onto hard tires, and he took those tires 50 laps.
Yeah, basically.
Crazy. So
I get the strategy though, because I was actually impressed no one else stopped, but it is so early on in the race, you're like, it is like a 50-50 chance of, is it going to be worth it? I mean, he was able to get him going.
Yes, but then it faded towards the end of the race, which we somewhat saw, and then they were also gambling. To our next point, the rain. they were gambling that the rain wasn't coming, but there were patches that did come and go, just not as much as they were predicting. So actually, then 2 laps later, Liam Lawson pits, and then Nico Hulkenberg retires due to a gearbox issue. And Liam's was obviously because of his contact with the gear. So lap 12, we go green, and Oscar is able to make the overtake on George Russell. Lap 13, Lando is able to pass Charles in turn 11. And then turn 18, Kimi is able to pass Charles. So Charles loses 2 spots in 1 lap. And then going into turn 1 in lap 14, Charles is able to repass Kimi. So we're really seeing the yo-yo effect here. And then in turn 12, they are still battling. And now the gap to Lando is 1.4 seconds. So lap 15, Oscar's gap to Charles is now under 1 second, and Max Verstappen, after his pit stop and coming out in P16, is now up to P10. So lap 16, the FIA notes that Max Verstappen failed to follow race director's direction, and it was investigated after the race, and this was where he ended up battling Alex Albon into turn 18, but they were really looking at how he exited the pit lane, which people were saying that the evidence showed that he was inside the lines, but I guess they disagreed with it, because then after the race, because of the investigation, they did end up giving him a 5-second penalty. So that's great. And then lap 17, Max passes Alex, and Oscar and Charles are still battling. Lap 21, George Russell pits onto hard tires. Max Verstappen is up again. He passes Franco Colapinto, and the battle between Verstappen and Albon is noted. This results in no further investigation. So lap 22, then Charles pits, but George Russell has the undercut and passes him, obviously. And then lap 23, both Charles and George are back into the top 10. Lap 25, we have a little bit more rain on another part of the circuit. Lap 26, Max catches up to the back of Lewis. They battle into turn 14, but he actually makes the move into turn 18. Then lap 27, Kimi pits into 5th. He had a 2.2 second stop, and he came out around 5-ish seconds behind Max. The next lap, Lando pits. He had a 2.8 second stop, and then Lewis ended up stopping as well. So Lando ended up losing out. He got undercut as well to Kimi, and he came out in 4th. And then by the time that they both came out of the Lando came out of the pits, they were already up on the back of Max. So we really saw those hard tires fade within 22 laps. And then lap 29, Oscar pits. He had a 3.4 second stop, which isn't great. Kimi is able to pass Max early on in the lap, and then turn 18 is where Lando and Max really started their yo-yo effect, and Lando is able to finally make the move to 2nd place. Lap 31, we had Charles passing George. Lap 32, Franco pits. Lap 33, Kimi reports that he has a problem with the gearbox. At this point, Lando has a 1-second gap to him. Lap 35, Oscar is able to catch up with George into turn 1. They kind of have their little yo-yo effect into turn 11, and then finally Oscar is able to make the move that sticks in turn 17. Lap 37, then Kimi says that his rear tires are gone, which isn't great on top of the gearbox issue, but Bono comes on the radio and is like, nope, you're fine, keep going, we're good, just ignore it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. So lap 46, Charles catches up to Max. Lando radios for Kimi for track limits, and he ends up with 2 strikes by the end of that lap. And 4 would be a black and white flag or a 5-second penalty. And that's what Mercedes told him and said, hey, no more. You got to keep it on track. So the next lap, Charles passes Max into turn 1. Yo-yo effect again into the chicane. So one is forward and the other one, and blah, 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 blah. So then the next lap, Charles is able to make the sticking move to claim that spot. Lap 48, Oscar catches up to the back of them, and and then he takes 4th place right there into turn 17. Lap 54, Oscar catches up to Charles and George, who have at this point in time caught up to Max. And then lap 55, we had contact between George and Max yet again into turn 1. And then lap 56, Will radioed to Lando and said the rear wing is dropping and giving them some problems. So be cautious with that. Oscar is able to pass Charles for 3rd into turn 17, and Max passes George as well. So lap 57, we have Charles spinning in the beginning of the lap. He ends up hitting the wall and driving the car in a very unsafe condition, and there had been like 2 or 3 seconds between him and George and Max, and by the end of the race, George and Max caught up to Charles and passed him. So our results of the race: Kimi in 1st, Lando in 2nd, Oscar in 3rd. 4th through 10th, we had George in 4th, Max in 5th, Charles in 6th, Lewis in 7th, Franco in 8th, Carlos in 9th, and Alex in 10th. So we got double Williams points, and Franco finished his highest finishing position. So 11th through 22nd, we had Ollie in 11th, Gabby in 12th, Esteban in 13th, Arvid in 14th, Fernando in 15th, Checo in 16th, Lance in 17th, and Valtteri in 18th. So our DNFs: Isaac hit the wall, as we said, Pierre Gasly and Liam Lawson contact with one another, as we said, and Nico Hulkenberg because of the power unit. So, after the race, Charles got handed a 20-second penalty, which demoted him 2 spots into 8th place, and this is because he drove the car in an unsafe condition. Max also got a 5-second penalty for crossing the white line at the pit exit. So, that's the race.
Alright, guys. So we do have some news before we get to our leaderboard. Kimi Antonelli is the first driver to win 3 races in a row from pole position. Sunday was the first time since the 2023 US Grand Prix that 4 different teams led a race: Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull. And then the Macarena wings of Ferrari and Red Bull.
Notice that they rotated different ways.
Yes,
so one rotated clockwise and the other did counterclockwise.
That was actually pretty interesting to me. I was noticing that when they were racing, seeing it like do like the whole, and I'm like, honestly, it's not a bad concept. It's not a bad concept, and it has been doing well for them, so I'm gonna keep it at that. And then the Grand Prix time got moved up from 4 p.m. to 1 p.m. This messed me up, okay? That's why I had to watch on my phone, because I thought I was gonna be home when it played. No, I was in a car. But I'm glad we avoided the rain that did not really show up.
We avoided the rain, but it didn't end up raining at that time.
No. Might end up rescheduling one of the canceled races from April. But now to our leaderboard.
Right. So Julie's having a good week, but we'll get to that in a second. These sprint predictions. I predicted Kimi, Oscar, George. I only got Oscar right, so I get 3 points. Julie got Lando in the right spot, and she got Charles on the podium. She also had George as well, so she gets 6 points from the sprint. Our race predictions. I had Oscar, George, and Ollie. I only got 1 point out of it from Oscar. Julie got Kimi and Lando in the right spots, so she gets 8. So our totals were both at 15. We were tied heading into this race. Needless to say, after this week, we are no longer tied. It's pretty obvious who's leading right now. I only got 4 points added to my score. Julie got 14, so she has a 10-point gap over me. I have 19 points. She has 29 points.
All I have to say is, I don't wish this, but like, I was so excited that Charles was in 3rd, because if he had gotten 3rd and nothing had happened, I would have gotten a full podium correct. up until literally the last lap, I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. I actually did it. Like, this is the first time I've ever done something like that. And then he freaking spun out. I was happy Oscar got third, no lie. But as someone who's competitive, I was like, you're lying. It's okay. I'm still winning right now, so that's all that matters. This is gonna be so short lived, no lie, because at one point I was doing great last year and it just went downhill from there. So I guess we'll see. But I'm so proud of myself. But that's our F1 recap. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what your predictions were and how they went. We'd love to hear it. Give us the points you've totaled if you're keeping up with your points. That would be fun to hear. Let us know anything you thought about the race or how you think the 5-second, 20-second penalties should have been given, if it was worth it or if it wasn't in your opinion. And to all my Ferrari fans, let me know how depressed you are after this week because I kind of was a little upset too. But that is our video, so don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on our post notifications. We do have a Champions League video coming out, so if you don't want to miss that, post notifications. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. And my birthday's coming up too, so if you don't want to miss that video that Em made for me, because I still haven't seen it, just keep a lookout.